Coming up,
Now I had a little tent set up there, nerve-wracking, cold.
they've been doing it tough, but now our Street Socceroos
This here is just so important.
are kicking life-changing goals
That's a second goal for Australia.
at the Homeless World Cup.
They're all stars, all of them.
That's next on 60 Minutes. Representing the nation is an honour many Australians dream of, but few achieve. For those lucky enough to experience it, there's no better feeling. And when it comes to sport, the green and gold uniform often means athletes also become celebrities. But there's one sporting team of very inspirational Aussies who, if you walked past them, you probably wouldn't know it. They're the Street Socceroos, 8 homeless Australians who've defied the odds and done us proud at the so-called Homeless World Cup, a soccer competition proving that even those who are doing it the toughest can still kick life-changing goals. This is probably what you thought you knew about homelessness. People down and out, without a job or roof over their heads, with no option but to sleep rough.
Now I had a little tent set up there.
A tent?
Yeah.
What was that like?
Bit, yeah. Nerve-wracking, cold, wet. Just a bit wary of, people walking past and, I don't know, seem to get through it.
It's a sadly common reality the rest of society often ignores and harshly judges. But there's more to the stories of those who sleep rough, as Michael Wilson will show you. All anyone ever needs is one chance to prove the world wrong, and people without a home are no exception. In fact, Michael is about to do more than most of you or I have ever done.
Take one.
Perfect.
So that's a real proper one, isn't
It's a real proper one, yeah.
it? Yeah, man.
For almost a year, Michael was sleeping in this Adelaide park. Years spent in foster care, unemployed and battling drug use saw him hit rock bottom.
I went through a couple of other housing organisations and didn't really, get looked at or taken in.
How did you feel about yourself when you were sleeping in a tent in a park?
I was thinking I'd never thought I'd be doing this. But then at the same time, I thought it's different from what I was doing,
Freezing in a tent, you might expect Michael to give up. But it's where he heard the sounds of what would unexpectedly help turn his life around. Here, he found street soccer. The global street soccer charity program is simple, yet hugely successful. On any given night, more than 120,000 people experience homelessness in Australia, and inviting them to play soccer together has given many a community and the confidence to rejoin society.
I miss one day, I start getting grumpy.
It means that much to you?
Yeah, it does. Health and fitness and skills.
And belonging to a team?
Yes, yeah.
Week in, week out, Michael has been here, off the drugs and out of the tent, where his hard work has well and truly paid off. But he could never have predicted just how far street soccer would take him, until one day a tap on the shoulder from a coach left him speechless.
He pulled me aside from their group one day and just quietly whispered in my ear and said, the Homeless World Cup will be in South Korea this year. And I'm thinking, yeah, and? The thing was, your name has been nominated. And yeah, I lit up like a Christmas tree. I started hyperventilating.
At 43 years old, ignored and impoverished for most of his life, Michael was told he'd be representing his country.
Being noticed, recognised, and getting this opportunity to travel outside the country. It's still so overwhelming.
There's an ingredient where just something happens when that ball starts moving and people are kicking it around and change takes place.
The Homeless World Cup is one of the greatest success stories you've probably never heard of. An incredible idea brought to life by an incredible man, Mel Young. The Scottish social entrepreneur is the founder of the world-renowned Big Issue magazine, which, since 1993, has recruited homeless people to sell the publication and make their own money. 10 years after launching the Big Issue, Mel came up with an even bigger idea, an international homeless soccer tournament. What is it about the Homeless World Cup, about football, soccer, that helps these people in such a profound way?
I think that the beauty of the game is that it's very, very simple and anybody can play it. So we're talking about, wow, that was a great save. Well done. You're a goalkeeper. You're a striker. You're a great passer of the ball, because it's a change. Everyone stopped looking at them as being homeless. It's the same person. It's the same person in the street who people were avoiding one day, and he's in one set of clothes, and now we've got him in clothes where he's representing his country, and now he's signing autographs.
I'll show you how it's done.
The Homeless World Cup has been such a success, it's been given the Hollywood treatment in a film aptly called The Beautiful Game. There's no better praise for Mel's accomplishments than being portrayed by acting royalty, Bill Nighy.
The football competition, Street Soccer, four-a-side, really fast, some excellent players, all homeless.
Homeless?
Yeah, all homeless. It's called the Homeless World Cup.
Not bad for an idea with an origin at a pub. In 2001, Mel was having a beer with a friend after a conference about solving homelessness. They didn't know it then, but they were laying the groundwork for the first ever Homeless World Cup in Austria.
We both loved football, but we knew the power of it as well. We shook hands over this beer and said, OK, there's going to be this game between Scotland and Austria. Then we had some more beer, and by the end of the evening, we'd invented the Homeless World Cup, where it wasn't just Scotland and Austria coming, everybody was coming.
So saner heads didn't prevail in the morning?
No, and everybody said we were crazy, OK? Everyone said, what? You're going to have this soccer game and you're going to bring these people and going to change their life? You're kidding.
Now, that crazy idea has become one of the most successful means ever of getting and keeping people out of homelessness. Since the first competition, 1.3 million lives have been positively changed. This year, for our Street Socceroos as they're known, the journey of self-discovery begins in Canberra for a special jersey presentation.
Michael from South Australia, come up and get your Guernsey, mate.
Michael Wilson never dreamt that he would accept an Australian kit in the grounds of Parliament House, from Wallaby turned politician David Pocock, no less. As he fights away the tears, you can see in Michael's eyes just what this means to him.
It's a life-changing experience, and it still is a little bit emotional. As much as exciting, I've never had this opportunity before to represent playing soccer for my country.
Michael is one of just 8 players selected from a pool of hundreds in street soccer programs across the country. They'll join a staggering 52 teams from 38 countries headed to Seoul to change their lives forever. For Michael and the Street Socceroos, it's a journey full of firsts.
I've never had a passport before in my life.
Hadn't been on a plane before?
No.
Are you nervous about that flight?
Yeah, like I am. Just the time duration. I don't know how you guys are going to put up with me.
Coming up, how our Street Socceroos took on the world.
Aussie, Aussie, Aussie!
The Homeless World Cup is changing lives by giving the homeless something most would never think to offer them, a chance to be celebrated.
The opening ceremony, and you get to, carry the flag and wear the country's colours and proudly call yourself an Australian representative, and you see that little boost in self-esteem, and, you walk that little bit taller.
Australian coach George Halkias has the pleasure of being part of this joy every year. This World Cup in Seoul is his 12th in charge, and he readily admits his teams never really come close to taking out the competition. George, are you the only Australian coach where winning doesn't matter?
Yeah, my interesting track record I have, and a few people used to laugh and say, well, there's no qualifiers, so you're guaranteed a place in each Homeless World Cup, but winning doesn't matter. Whether you come first or 48th in a Homeless World Cup, it's irrelevant, really.
For George, it's much more about these moments. The pride among his team as they go from homeless to international athletes who finally matter. And while the Street Socceroos didn't win the World Cup, they did manage 3 wins from 11 games, victorious against Sweden, Zimbabwe and Cambodia, earning them a sought-after Fair Play Award. But Homeless World Cup founder Mel Young says the impact for most is much more life-changing. The difficulty, of course, though, Mel, is when they go back home and back to their lives, they're no longer the stars on the pitch. How do countries and organisations make sure that they don't just fall back into the life they were living?
Yeah, it's very, very important that, and we do research into this all the time. I mean, we don't get 100%, but vast majority, so 80, 90% kind of change your life. So it's like a shot of adrenaline, if you like, and now it's like, okay, you've got one step to go to get into the house, to get the job, to go to college, come off drugs or whatever.
That's a huge percentage. 80 to 90% of players at the World Cup change their lives for the good. You see that?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, we do this research all the time, and it always comes back the same.
The reality of that impact caught Mel by surprise on a regular commute home in Glasgow, where he came face to face with a life he'd helped transform.
I got on the bus one day, and the bus driver said, "Hi Mel, how are you doing?" And I didn't recognise him. And I kind of, who are you? And he said, no, I remember I was on got on the team. And then I went, oh yeah, and he was wearing a bus driver's uniform. And I said, how are you doing? He said, oh, well, I got a training to be able to drive the bus. I got a job driving the bus. I've now got a small flat where I'm staying, and I'm engaged to be married. And that happens all the time. There's these little stories that have happened, how people have changed quite significantly, and are now part of our world, and are not in an excluded homeless world.
The lasting effect on Michael Wilson is testament to Mel's bold vision.
A couple other stories in there.
Returning from the Cup, there's no looking back now. Michael's determined to keep turning his life around. He's got a permanent roof over his head and makes money selling the Big Issue magazine as he's on the lookout for a bigger job.
Paying bills is still a bit hard, you know. That's still something new for me.
That's hard for everyone.
Yeah, of course it would be. But this year is just so important, you know. Just give it a go, you know. You don't know where it will take you. You put a lot of time and effort into doing it. This is where it goes. Look at me. Sorry. Yeah.
You set your mind to things, Michael, and you can do anything, right?
Yep. Yeah. No, you've got to put in that bit of work. Yeah, it's not going to hurt.
Inspired and energised, Michael's already encouraging others like him to join the street soccer program, including Jamie, who's sleeping in the very same park that Michael did.
What would you say to Jamie about what it can do for you?
Yeah, it's life-changing. It'll make you feel good. It really will. Like getting out at least once a week, something different to what you might usually be doing.
It's such a good change. Have you seen it in Michael? Do you think that could happen to you?
Yeah, I remember when he first started, the moment he walked in the doors and the life that he had, the shine, he had a different shine about him, you know, a different vibe.
And that's what you're hoping will happen to you, Jamie?
Yeah, sit back and know that, you know, in the near future, I could be, you know, doing the same thing as Michael and turn back and go, look, I've turned my life around, and be inspiring to younger people in our situation too.
You make me feel strong.
And much like these players have changed, Mel Young says it's time we change the way we think about and see homelessness. He hopes Michael and the Street Socceroos have shown Australians that anyone can be an inspiration and no one is ever a lost cause.
People of Australia should be so proud of them. They're fantastic ambassadors for Australia. They really are. And they've not necessarily had such good lives, particularly lately, but they're all stars, all of them.
Hello, I'm Adam Hegarty. Thanks for watching 60 Minutes Australia. Subscribe to our channel now for brand new stories and exclusive clips every week. And don't miss out on our extra minute segments and full episodes of 60 Minutes on 9now.com.au and the 9Now app.